Raza, first of all, a lot many congratulations on qualifying CSS.
Thank you, sir. Really appreciate it.
So you are going to be part of Pakistan's bureaucracy, right? So civil servants
Inshallah.
in Pakistan have the perception of being the elitist. Why is it so?
Sir, it is basically because of the historical factors where where there is a public perception, especially from its colonial roots, where the public servants used to enjoy much more powers, and the civil service was actually designed not as a public service delivery mechanism, but as something to implement the laws and wishes of the British colonialism. I think that is where the roots of the elitist mindset of seeing the civil service as an elitist mindset roots itself into. However, I believe that through various reforms in the past, it has transformed into much more closer towards being a public service rather than being something of an elitist.
Oh, so you are going to be part of police services of Pakistan. Raza, why police?
Sir, basically, despite the many misconceptions and although police does not enjoy a very nice perception among our public, I believe to have a three-pronged rationale behind my choice of PSP as my first choice. The first one being that I have a passion for uniform, and I have always wanted to see myself, and I believe that I'll have much more of my heart into it. Another being that the kind of the society, the kind of rural and tribal culture and the setup that I have been brought up in, I think it has hardened me to such an extent to suit the personality of a police officer. And other than this, I have seen the importance of police that it enjoys in the public life, especially with regards to it being the first line of defense in the criminal justice system. And considering the importance of the criminal justice system and the kind of the lack that exists in that, I believe that I'll have a much more room to outshine myself. I'm not making any high claims that I'll alone be able to reform the service, but I think I'll get enough chances and opportunity to do my bit in the service. So this is my rationale.
Gentlemen, can you tell us about Thana culture? What is Thana culture? What do you understand by this
So
term?
So by Thana culture, what I understand is that basically Thana is a jurisdiction which is under a district, and however, the kind of Thana culture that our Pakistani public perceives is that basically it is something distant from the public. It is something it is a culture which is not very welcoming. It is there to to rule through force. It is seen as a force and not as a service. So I think that is what is the conception of Thana culture, where the public is not given as much importance and rather they are exploited for vested interests. I think that is what Thana culture means to me.
So we have a criminal justice system in place, but people still look up to the traditional structures for the speedy justice. So what is wrong with our criminal justice system apart from the Thana culture that we have?
So there are a couple of lags that I find in the criminal justice system of Pakistan. One of the foremost being that Pakistan lacks a proper institution for prosecution. There is a prosecution department in place in Sindh and Punjab. However, if you see the strength of it and compare it with over 2 million outstanding cases, you will see that these are not enough to deliver speedy justice. Other than this, the backlog of cases, that is especially at the lower court levels, where you don't have enough judges, and several most of the cases take years and decades to resolve, especially if you see in the case of property cases. It takes at least 2-3 generations for a resolution of some property dispute. So I think in the wake of this, in the wake of the lack of proper prosecution, other than this, sir, there is also the concept of where we have lags in the investigation system as well. For example, I would like to quote a statistic where in Sindh, I know that for per case of investigation, an officer is granted only 1,200 something rupees. this is not even enough to cover the fuel costs. And if you see that ASI
It
does
is not
not even
because
get
it
a
is
government
costly.
bike or anything to go, so how will he investigate?
So if you're posted as ASP, how would you dispel this impression that you're clean from all above else that police is basically labeled with?
So, in my opinion, one of the first steps that I would take, and also that I would encourage for the police department to take, is that to increase their contact with the public. Basically, the office of the SSP or the ASP is something which is not very open door welcoming to the public. So, I would want to involve them in khuli kacheris and to meet with them. Not only to understand the dynamics of the district or the place or the jurisdiction I placed in, but also to see what kind of crimes exist here, what kind of problems are there. And it will also engage with this engagement, it will also build trust of the public as well in me. So I think through an open door policy, I think this kind of impression could be minimized to some level at least.
Raza, you are going to join police. First convince me that you are a good citizen.
Sir, okay. Firstly, I work for the State Bank of Pakistan, where we manage the foreign exchange reserves of the country, and we take care of the economy of Pakistan, which makes me a government servant as well. Other than this, I also file taxes regularly, and I also pay agricultural income tax as well, which most of the people, at least in my area, are not very keen to pay. Other than this, I have had a lot of contributions in the economy of Pakistan, especially through my investing activities at Pakistan Stock Exchange and other things. Other than this, I've also played a social role in the upbringing of the people of my area, which I could describe you if I have time. I
Okay.
have been involved.
Let's move to the next question, and that is last question from my side. Don't you think that you're still too young? And don't you think that it's too young to join civil services? You should know this country in a better way, gain some experience, and then join it.
Sir, but how do we get this experience without being a part of the system? I don't get this. Because once you are into the system, you'll understand how the government functions, what are the key problems behind it, what is the public, what is the thought of the public, or what is the need of the public. And unless you don't know, or you do, or you're not able to articulate the need of the public, you'll not be able to solve it. So I think joining the civil service at such an age will give me an advantage in terms of better understanding the population. And also
Okay then.
when
Okay,
yes sir.
we got your argument. Sir Zulkarnain, over to you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Sir Shareef. Uh, okay, gentlemen, my first question is you are currently serving in a prestigious job. Many people aspire for that. Uh, so, first of all, tell me why are you switching your career since you are a graduate of IBA and you have studied in finance as well? So, why are you switching your career and how your studies in IBA or your finance degree will be helpful for you in the police service of Pakistan?
Sir, I have basically two arguments to justify my change in career. The first one being that basically when we serve at the state bank, we serve the Pakistani economy or the Pakistani country at a macro level. Our impact, our policies are not seen to have effect on an individual level, which I believe my joining the civil services will let me see and and give me an influence to have a direct impact on the people of the country rather than what I can have at the State Bank of Pakistan. Another thing, sir, is that basically the kind of career progression at State Bank is very limited. There is only a certain level that you can rise up to. However, if you join the civil service, I believe that there is a very established and a very not only prosperous but a very attractive kind of a career progression. So, in my opinion, these are the two main reasons why I want to shift from the State Bank of Pakistan to join the civil services. Coming towards the second part of your question, so basically my study of BBA helps me in a couple of ways. Firstly, being a BBA graduate, we are generalists. We are not masters at anything, but we are very good. We're taught the skill of managing people. We're taught the skill of taking of making people work, taking work out of them, monitoring the performance and everything else. Whereas as far as finance is concerned, I think police also plays an integral role, especially when you see in curbing money laundering, anti-terrorism financing, such uh, what I would say, financial kind of crimes, to counter financial crime. I think that would give me an edge if I join a certain department where I'm giving the opportunity to do this.
My second question is, what were major points of Police Order 2002? Since you are aspiring for police service of Pakistan, you must have gone through the documents. What are the major points of Police Order 2002?
Sir, I cannot recall most of the points, but I know that some of the points which were that it ensured a greater independence of police, especially when it desegregated them from the district administration. Other than this, the police service. Other than this, no, sir, I cannot
All right.
recall. I have gone through, but I cannot recall.
Why police is portrayed as a villain in society of Pakistan? Like common citizen is afraid to go to police station for some sort of help, and they generally avoid going to police station. Why police is portrayed as villain in media or in society of Pakistan?
Sir, a couple of reasons. Firstly, the historical aspect that is associated to police, where it was considered as a force and not as a service to serve the colonial masters. Other than that, there has also been a lag in terms of delivery of justice, where people, whenever they go and file a case with the police, they are not usually first. They lag issues at the investigation stage. Um, Oftentimes they're asked for, to pay bribes in return of a speedy movement of their files. Other than this, the backlog of cases at the courts has, resulted in a delayed time where people could get justice. However, if you see we living in the 21st century, I believe everything that our generation wants to be at a fast pace, and this is not being ensured in police. Other than this, the contact of police and the public, it has really been, I would say, acrimonious, where the police sees the
And
people as,
okay,
criminals.
you have mentioned these are the problems in police service of Pakistan, and you still want to join that department, which already is facing so many problems, which has negative public perception, you know. So why police service of Pakistan?
Absolutely, sir. With that, I believe that you will have anyone who joins the police service will have a much more greater opportunity to, bring a change, to reform, to, do their part. Obviously, one cannot change the system on its own, but at least it gives a room to do their part, to outshine yourself.
I got your point. I got your point. My next question is, after 18th Amendment, resources have been shifted to provinces, and they are getting a lot of financial powers have been given to provinces. Why shouldn't continue to remain underdeveloped in comparison to other provinces despite having resources? Education sector is like it is worst in Pakistan. The health sector, the media shows the hospitals are not running, and why Sindh continues to remain underdeveloped despite having abundance of resources,
Sir, as
particularly
far
after
as
18th Amendment.
So as far as the province of Sindh is concerned, I believe there is a much more of a governance issue rather than, a resource issue or the issue of autonomy or the issue of powers. There's been a single government that's been elected for 3 consecutive terms, and if they have not been able to deliver on any front, I don't think they have a they have lost the moral legitimacy to, keep their government in place. Other than this, there are several other reasons that are associated to this, especially the lack of education within the general public, who has not been able to, hold their representatives accountable, like what other provinces have been used to. There's a culture of feudalism. There's a culture of, voting on the.
Okay, I
Also,
got your
there's
point.
dynastic politics, which is a major cause, because you don't have an alternative. What will you do
Okay,
if you
I
don't
got,
have an
I
alternative?
got your point. How to, what is in your mind that can be done to break this cycle of dynastic politics in Sindh or culture of feudalism? Because there is patron-client relationship uh, prevalent in Sindh in politics. How, what, what can you do as a civil servant, or what strategy do you have in your mind to break this cycle of dynastic politics or feudalism in Sindh?
Sir, some of the key steps that we can adopt to counter dynastic politics is that firstly there should be a strong role on behalf of the election commission, which is not really seen to be happening in the country. Other than this, sir, I believe that there should be necessarily a local government established within within the province, so that service delivery is seen and the performance is seen by the public, and they feel what their representatives have been doing or they have not been doing. This devolution of power will not only hold the other representatives accountable, but will also create a spirit of competition between them. Because if one of them delivers, obviously the other has to deliver. Otherwise, the public is educated enough; they would be able to see that what is in our favor and what is in our not. Other than this, I believe there should be a depoliticization of the bureaucracy and the district administration, because you can see that they have just one tool, to use against bureaucracy. They can transfer them anytime. You see SSPs, you see DCs going within months if they are not complying to the wishes of the elite capture that is in the province. So I think through civil services reforms we can ensure depoliticization of the bureaucracy such that the service delivery improves.
Oh, okay, my last question, gentlemen. Since you are an economist too, how COVID has impacted global economy, or how world economy will shift after COVID?
Sir, at the moment, COVID has wreaked havoc in the international markets. You can see gold has been rising so high, phenomenal levels, historical levels you have not seen before. You have seen that international trade has come at a halt. The supply chain mechanisms have broken. Other than this, you also see export orders being cancelled, and especially for the developing countries who have had to face a much more brunt of this COVID is because they have to ensure social welfare, they have to ensure proper SOPs, they have to ensure lockdowns of their businesses. It has actually hurt the public at a very personal level because it has increased unemployment, it has increased the levels of poverty within the nation, it has increased hunger, it has in my opinion it has wreaked havoc, and such kind of a disaster it was not
Okay,
witnessed
I
before
got
the
you.
Great Depression.
I got your point, gentlemen.
So,
Over to you.
okay, so do you think that we will be able to decode your future in just 30 minutes? Is it really possible to judge someone in just too limited a time as 30 minutes?
Sir, not completely, but I'm sure that one can have an idea of at least the direction that where the person is headed to.
Okay, so tell us, why should we not select you?
No, sorry, sir, I didn't get your question. That why should we not select me?
Yes.
Like, no, I don't get it. Can you
Okay.
can you please
So
elaborate?
one of your weaknesses is that you overthink in decision making. But in police, don't you think that you have to make at times very instant decisions? So don't you think that you are unfit for police, gentlemen?
Sir, I believe that basically no decision is better than a bad decision, because in case especially at the level when you're serving at the police service of Pakistan, if you take a bad decision, it hurts not only the person, it could hurt his life, it could hurt his property, and it would also hurt the image of the police service of Pakistan. So, in my very humble opinion, I believe that obviously there should be a certain time frame to take decisions, and it really depends on how important the decision is. If the decision is of critical importance, definitely I and any other person should have adequate time to analyze the costs, the benefits associated to it. However, if a decision is of a petty nature, you can delegate it even.
Mohammed Raza, thank you so much.